Tonight, WECT investigates a significant flaw in Cape Fear Community College's oversight of millions of federal dollars. That's one of the findings of a new report from the state auditor's office. WECT's Connor Smith looking into what it means tonight. Now, Connor, what did the auditor uncover specifically at CFCC?
Well, John, the report found Cape Fear Community College did not have oversight of changes in student enrollment status. The audit says not fixing that problem could lead to serious financial reporting errors. The auditor's office released the report this week. It looked at billions in federal grants spent last year across North Carolina. While CFCC did report enrollment status changes accurately, the audit says the community college did not have any formal policies in place for the $21 million it gave out in federal aid last year. Had leadership not fixed that discrepancy, students' eligibility for financial aid could be miscalculated, possibly putting CFCC's eligibility for federal financial aid programs at risk. State Auditor Dave Bullock says it's important CFCC address this.
We're confident moving forward right now that things seem to be on the right path. Our job is not just to point things out and to point fingers. Our job is to identify things and to assist institutions like Cape Fear Community College on doing things better moving forward.
CFCC sent us this statement today, quote, Cape Fear Community College takes its responsibility to manage federal financial aid seriously and works to ensure everything is handled accurately and in compliance with federal rules. The college has since implemented the recommended changes to ensure continued alignment with federal requirements, end quote. The auditor's office also looked at other public colleges and universities across the state, including UNC Wilmington, but the report did not find any issues with UNCW's books. John?
Well, Connor, the statement mentioned that they made changes. What specific changes did they make as a result of the audit?
Yeah, the report says leadership corrected this back in January. CFCC now has a detailed review process for enrollment status changes. They also detailed some of their policies and updated those. We have more details on your WECT News app.
All right, Connor, appreciate the update. Thanks.